Cheap is not a word that applies.
The watch is often blurred. However, when you come to Guangzhou, you cannot see any problem just by looking at the appearance. What you need to be careful about is that the low quality movement inside will be sold at a high price.
My suggestion is you can try it first or buy it for a legal way. I'm Sean. See you next time.
You pay $4,400 for a Metas Tudor Black Bay monochrome. You pay almost $10,000 for a Rolex Submariner. And a Royal Oak Extra Thin, it costs like $36,000.
You pay $400 for a bottle of Creed Aventus. You shell out $350 for Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille and a Le Labo Santal 33. That'll set you back $310 for just 3.4 ounces. Dior's Oud Ispahan will drain your wallet at $435. And don't even get me started on Clive Christian's number 1 with its ridiculous $875 price tag for a single ounce. Luxury is definitely not a word that applies to the price tag. Highway robbery is more like it. But what if I told you that the $400 perfume you're spraying on your neck every morning costs less than $30 to make? What if I showed you proof that the liquid in that fancy bottle with the designer logo is basically the same stuff that goes into the $65 knockoff at Zara? That's right, the markup on luxury fragrances isn't just high, it's one of the biggest scams in the entire beauty industry, and today, I'm lifting the curtain on what's really happening behind those fancy boutique doors with their mood lighting and pretentious sales associates.
95% of the world's watches are made here, including the one you're wearing right now. Many big brand watches are produced or sourced for parts from here. This place is Shenzhen City, the world watch capital city. And in Shenzhen, you must not miss this factory.
I've spent the last 6 months digging deep, talking to industry insiders, former employees of major fragrance houses, chemists who formulate these scents, and even suppliers who sell the same raw materials to both luxury and budget brands. And what I found will make you question every expensive bottle sitting on your vanity right now. There's a new scandal brewing in the luxury fragrance world, and the receipts are piling up faster than unsold perfume gift sets after Valentine's Day. Listen, if you want to keep dropping hundreds at Chanel, Dior, and Tom Ford, go ahead and do that. I'm not here to judge your choices, but industry experts are finally coming out of the woodwork, and I have their testimonies recorded, screenshots saved, and documents ready to share. People have even been fired from major perfume houses for exposing what's really inside those elegant bottles, and the real reason that 100 milliliters of scented liquid costs more than a month's grocery budget for some people. One former executive at a major fragrance conglomerate who asked to remain anonymous told me they were forced to sign an NDA just to get their severance package after raising concerns about misleading marketing claims. The difference between our $50 mall brand and our $300 luxury line was mostly the bottle and the story we told, they admitted. The juice inside? Maybe a 10% difference in concentration and a few slightly more expensive raw materials, that's it. So let's be honest for a second. Where do these luxury fragrances really come from? Are these $400 perfumes actually handcrafted French masterpieces? Or did they start life in a massive industrial complex alongside thousands of others just like it? Because the way these fragrance chemists and former industry employees are exposing the luxury perfume industry right now is absolutely wild.
Asking y'all should receive. Tisa, where are the watch manufacturers? I did some digging and I found the watch manufacturers. There is a new scandal coming out of the luxury watch division. Listen, if you want to keep going to Rolex, if you want to keep going to AP and spending your money, go and do that. However, industry insiders are coming out, and I have their videos. People have even been fired from it for lifting the hood away from the...
Most Swiss watches are actually made in China, and the reason that replicas often look just as good as the original is that they are made in the same factory.
The whispers have turned into full-blown testimonies, the TikTok breakdowns are getting bolder, and let's just say some perfumeries in Grasse, France are finally done being quiet, and what are they spilling? France is brewing some hot tea because these luxury brands can't gaslight their way out of this one. It's gotten so loud, so undeniable, and so embarrassing that several major perfume houses just announced massive price adjustments on some of their signature scents. And fragrance collectors are shook. But before we jump into these receipts, the drama, and the exposed supply chains, we need to start at the real heart of this mess. Let's take a trip to the actual perfume capital of the world. And spoiler alert, it's not where you think. Most luxury perfumes are actually mass-produced in large industrial facilities. And the reason that dupes often smell just as good as the original is that they use many of the same ingredients sourced from the same suppliers. You probably grew up thinking the best fragrances must come from small French perfumeries, right? Quaint little shops in Paris, master perfumers with sensitive noses, handcrafting your signature scent drop by drop. Very cute, but it's giving fantasy. Let's talk facts. Welcome to Grasse, France, but not the romantic version from tourism brochures with lavender fields and quaint perfumers working at wooden benches. I'm talking about the industrial complexes on the outskirts where mass production happens. Massive steel tanks, automated filling machines, and workers in hairnets and lab coats mixing formulas created by computers, not artisans.
Factory, they offer a wider range of styles to choose from, maintain strict production standards, and can support customization, starting from just 50 pieces. What? Worry about them are just middlemen? You contact them directly.
Watches come in different sizes. A small dial makes your wrist slimmer, while a larger one makes you a stronger area. First of all, you need to determine your budget range. The Rolex Datejust is the best choice for cost-effective.
But even more importantly, welcome to New Jersey, specifically the stretch between Newark and Elizabeth that perfume insiders call Fragrance Alley. Welcome to Geneva, Switzerland, where massive chemical companies produce aroma chemicals by the ton. And welcome to Shanghai and Guangzhou, China, the real fragrance capitals where most commercial perfumes actually begin their journey. I visited one of these facilities, although I can't name which one because they made me sign a visitor NDA. Y'all, the place looked like something out of Breaking Bad, not the romantic atelier they show in commercials. I'm talking about massive industrial mixing equipment, 55-gallon drums of synthetic compounds with names I couldn't pronounce, and workers methodically following formulas on tablets. Not a single master perfumer in a white coat delicately sniffing test strips to be found. We're not talking about bootlegs and knockoffs either. We mean high-end essential oils, rare absolutes, complex accords, the same stuff that goes into your $400 bottle, the same rose absolute extract, the same cedar wood oil, the same synthetic musk compound. In fact, I saw identical raw materials being poured into batches headed to both budget body spray companies and ultra-luxury perfume houses. And here's where things get real spicy. There are factories that allegedly produce fragrance compounds for big names like Dior, Chanel, and Tom Ford. These factories maintain strict production standards and can support custom formulations for basically any brand willing to pay. What worries the luxury houses are the middlemen getting cut out. You could potentially contact some suppliers directly.
Something. I'm going to fire Harold. Why? The watch is a fake.
What's fake about it?
According to the serial number,
It doesn't correspond to that watch.
These aren't the fake fragrances you see at the swap meet. No, these are not $15 gas station specials. These are real ingredients, possibly mixed in the same factories as the legit stuff, just without the fancy marketing budgets and celebrity endorsements. And the wild part? These suppliers are now openly talking about it. Some are even offering custom orders to the public, as in, you can literally bypass Sephora and buy similar fragrance compounds straight from the source. Perfumes come in different concentrations. An eau de toilette is more affordable while an eau de parfum lasts longer on the skin. First, you need to determine your budget. Designer fragrances from fashion houses are usually the most cost-effective luxury options. But that raises a big question. If your luxury perfume is mostly mixed in a factory alongside hundreds of others, why does it cost so much? The answer lies in one of the sneakiest loopholes in the beauty industry. You see that elegant Made in France label on your perfume box? That label doesn't mean what you think it means. Contrary to what luxury brands want you to believe, Made in France does not mean the entire fragrance was created in a charming Parisian atelier. No, in fact, under international trade laws, a perfume only needs final assembly or packaging to happen in France to legally carry that label. So, let me say that again, only the final step, not the entire production. And what counts as the final step? Well, filling the bottle, attaching the sprayer, or literally just packaging it once the completed fragrance lands in Paris. So let's just say your factory in New Jersey makes a Dior fragrance compound and ships it fully formulated. Then some worker in France fills bottles on an assembly line and boom, it's officially made in France. That's how they're doing it, y'all.
perpetuals.
You want to start adding Rolex to your collection? These are the 5 cheapest Rolex watches that you can buy right now. First one, we got the 36mm Datejust 16220 with the engine turn bezel, and it's worth around $6,500. The next watch is a 36mm Datejust 16014 with the blue dial and fluted bezel. This one is priced at around $6,200.
You're paying $300 for a perfume that was mostly manufactured in industrial facilities, then marketed and blessed in France. And thanks to that marketing budget, it gets a luxury glow-up and a 3-figure price tag. And don't get it twisted, this isn't new. The entire luxury industry plays this game. It started with these Reddit threads from former employees, then leaked over into TikTok, and now fragrance industry insiders are coming forward like it's a true crime documentary, and the things they're saying are crazy. One person who says they used to work for a major French perfume house claimed they got fired for asking too many questions. They were working on quality control and realized that the same exact fragrance compounds were going into both luxury and mid-range brands, just in different bottles with different markup. They even dropped receipts, actual photos of ingredient manifests showing that a $50 mall brand and a $250 luxury brand contained virtually identical formulations. Meanwhile, the packaging, sometimes custom, but sometimes just a standard bottle with a fancy cap slapped on at the last minute. So yeah, this scandal runs deep. And now you might be thinking, why hasn't the mainstream beauty press exposed all this? Why aren't there investigative pieces in Vogue or Allure? The answer is simple, and it's all about the money. The luxury fragrance industry has incredibly deep pockets. Magazines get millions, and I mean millions, in ad money from Chanel, Dior, and Tom Ford. Just flip through any fashion or beauty magazine, count how many perfume ads you see, then estimate what a full-page glossy ad costs, between $100,000 to $500,000 depending on the publication. You think they're going to bite the hand that funds their entire operation? You think they're going to run a headline that says, that $400 fragrance you just bought is worth $25 right across from a Gucci perfume ad? Never going to happen. And the beauty bloggers and social media influencers are even worse. I know because I've been in those rooms. They're getting flown out to Paris first class, put up in 5-star hotels, gifted not just perfumes but entire luxury wardrobes, pampered at brand events with celebrities, and often paid tens of thousands for a single post. One insider showed me a contract where an influencer with about 2 million followers was paid $75,000 for a single IG reel featuring a new perfume launch, plus an additional $50,000 worth of gifts, including the entire fragrance line and a designer handbag. These influencers are paid to smile and keep it very cute. They're contractually obligated to never say anything negative. One beauty creator told me off the record, "I know exactly how this industry works. I know the markups. I know where these fragrances are actually made, but I'd lose half my income overnight if I talked about it, and I've got bills to pay." Nobody's going to risk their next free fragrance collection, their next all-expenses-paid trip to Paris, or their sponsorship deals to drop the real receipts. So now it's up to the little guy's independent YouTubers, TikTokers, anonymous factory workers, and former employees with nothing left to lose to lift the curtain and show y'all what's really happening behind the luxury fantasy. And that's exactly what's starting to happen. Last month, a TikTok from a former quality control specialist at a major fragrance manufacturer got over 8 million views before mysteriously disappearing from the platform. The video showed identical fragrance formulations going into bottles for both a luxury brand and a mall brand, with a price difference of over $200 between them. So after years of keeping prices sky high, some luxury perfume brands did something they rarely do. They quietly dropped their prices, not across the board of course, but enough to make people say, wait, is everything okay? Because reports from fragrance forums and beauty insiders say some luxury perfumes saw up to 15% price cuts in select markets, specifically formulations that were getting too much attention in the dupe scene. If you want to start adding luxury fragrances to your collection, here are 5 relatively affordable options you can get right now. First, we've got the 1.7 ounces bottle of Replica Jazz Club by Maison Margiela at around $144. Next is Byredo's Mixed Emotions at about $190 for the smaller size, but don't get it twisted. These brands didn't announce this in big campaigns because luxury never goes on sale. They played it slick. The prices were dropped subtly, mostly happening through department stores and in select locations. But the people who track this stuff noticed immediately because these price adjustments came right after exposé videos went viral showing fragrance dupes being tested alongside originals with identical scent profiles. And listen, brands don't just cut prices without a reason, especially not luxury houses who literally thrive off artificial scarcity and exclusivity. For them to adjust prices quietly during a public supply chain scandal? Now that right there is what has luxury brands panicking. This whole illusion of high fashion runs on mystery and making you want the thing that seems out of reach, but now that veil has been lifted and people are finding alternatives, I'm talking private Telegram groups, TikTok recommendations, and fragrance communities sharing dupes that cost a fraction of the retail price. Perfumes come in different concentrations. An eau de toilette is more affordable while an eau de parfum lasts longer on the skin. First, you need to determine your budget. Designer fragrances from fashion houses are usually the most cost-effective luxury options. For more exclusive collections, there are niche perfumeries like Diptyque and Le Labo. And the gag is, they're not even calling them dupes anymore. They're using terms like inspired by, similar profile, fragrance family match, and molecular clone. Basically, we recreated it through reverse engineering, but we're not allowed to say we're copying Chanel No. 5. It's giving gray market energy. But one whistleblower even claimed that some third-party manufacturers receive the exact same aroma chemicals as major brands, and instead of charging $300, they sell similar formulations under different names for $30. Not fakes, not knockoffs, the same ingredients, just without the fancy bottle and marketing campaign. Also, here's what you need to know. When we talk luxury fragrances, especially groups like LVMH and L'Oreal, their profit margins usually sit somewhere between 60% and 90%. Yes, you read that right, up to 90% of what you're paying is pure profit. Not tiny margins, but definitely billionaire territory. Compare that to other industries like electronics at 10 to 20% margins, or even designer clothing at 40 to 50%. Suddenly, that $300 perfume feels a lot more outrageous, right? Before you go giving a hug to these luxury perfume houses, hold up, because they're still eating, and I mean eating, okay? Like these fragrance divisions stay booked and busy, reporting record profits year after year. But that brings us to the real question: what does it actually cost to make one of these perfumes? Let's get into that. Because a fragrance that retails for $300, industry insiders say might cost between $15 and $30 to actually produce. Yes, less than 10% of the retail price. And we can't ignore the retail markup, the cut that Sephora and department stores take. Some brands also bake in prestige pricing just to keep their aura of exclusivity intact. Now, some brands are a little more honest, like direct-to-consumer fragrance companies that actually reveal they never charge more than 3 times production cost. Designer brands around 4 times. Luxury niche brands, most experts believe it's about 10 times or higher. So yeah, you're not just paying for the perfume, you're paying for the whole machine behind it. But here's the thing. Not everything that smells expensive actually is, so that $30 dupe might perform surprisingly well in blind tests, and yes, it can last just as long if the formulation is solid. But let's not play games. Some dupes are definitely giving Dollar Tree with dreams. No hate to the budget babes, but we gotta call it what it is. It's hit or miss. I'll tell you one thing. That one thing alone is more than enough for you to understand why some people still choose originals. Confidence. Once you know you're wearing an original, your confidence is different. Because once you wear a luxury fragrance and walk into a room, there's something about that knowledge that changes how you carry yourself. Now cheap dupes cut corners like nobody's business. The alcohol base is usually harsh and drying. Longevity is often trash. The cheap dupe will disappear after an hour while the luxury version lasts all day. And the notes? They might nail the opening but completely miss the dry down. The complexity just isn't there. And the bottle looks and feels cheap in your hand. But here's the big question, the one everybody is asking once they've fallen down this rabbit hole. Are luxury perfumes really overpriced? The answer is complicated. So let's break it down. If you walk in thinking you're buying pure artistry, rare ingredients, and expert craftsmanship, you might be setting yourself up for disappointment, because not every perfume is a masterpiece like they claim in these ads. Some brands are mixing together pre-made accords, doubling the price, and banking on their name to carry them. And that's the game. But this is a big but. If you know what you're really paying for, then it's different. You're not just buying alcohol and fragrance oils, you're buying access, you're buying a seat at the luxury table. It's the illusion, the flex, the feeling of walking into a room and people recognizing your signature scent. That feeling to some people is priceless. So is it overpriced? Technically, sure. Emotionally depends on how it makes you feel. Once you know the truth behind the price, you get to decide whether it's worth it. And that's the real power. Not the perfume, not the brand you. But now I gotta hear from y'all. Do you think these luxury fragrance houses are genuinely trying to be more accessible? Or are they just shook that people found out the real tea on their pricing? And would you still buy a $300 perfume now that you know it costs less than $30 to make? Or do you think the luxury illusion is finally starting to crack? Let's talk about it in the comments down below because the tea stays hotter when you jump in. And don't forget to smash that like button if you love a good expose. Subscribe for more luxury tea, beauty industry secrets, and high-end drama. Hit the notification bell so you never miss when we spill again.